across the World Wide Web, on your mobile devices, on social media platforms. This is Jambo Radio! www.jamboradio.co.uk. We are multilingual. We are conversational in the languages you best understand. We are Jambo Radio! Jambo Radio, inspiring transformation.
Welcome to TouchPoint with Tayo. It's a show where everything matters. And I'm your host, Tayo Oweye. And on TouchPoint, we engage Africans' realities. We talk about trendy issues. We educate minds. And we explore vital issues that concerns Africans in diaspora, Africans in Africa, and we talk about humans living in the world. Yes. And as we continue to celebrate the International Women's Day and Month, we are still bringing in guests who are going to have conversation with us concerning women, concerning their lives and how it affects the society. And today on TouchPoint, we are discussing women as architects of stronger families, and rebuilding the family system. And I have my friends in the house. I have David and Daniel with me. And thanks to the production crew, Samson is also behind the console. My guest today is a friend of the house. I say she's a beauty to behold. Yes, she is. She is beautiful, and she's a wife, she's a mother, she's a sister, and she provides financial professional services in one of the UK's leading and global bank, and now an author of a recently published book titled Service, the Vehicle to Greatness, Rebuilding the Family System, live in the Jambo Radio Scotland studio in the city of Glasgow. She is Oladayo Bode-Balogun. You're welcome to TouchPoint Diet today. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing very well.
Yeah.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. David, you want to say something to the
Hello.
Daniel? Okay, so you can join the conversation on our YouTube platform as we go on in this conversation, and also on Facebook. YouTube, simply Jambo Radio Scotland. Facebook is also Jambo Radio Scotland. Twitter is at jamboradio.scot. Instagram at jamboradio.scotland. Join us, send in your comments, contributions, and let's engage on this platform concerning women as architects of stronger families, rebuilding the family system. We're going to start with a fact and fiction. We started that last week, and we're going to start it this time around. We'll say that the fastest to answer the question will be given the opportunity to answer the question. So here we go. Are you guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Our guests will be part of it. So women perform 75% of unpaid care work globally, including child care, elderly care, and household care. Is it a fact or fiction?
Fact.
I would say it's a fact, yes. What do you mean by unpaid care work? Is it like an actual job but they don't get paid, or unpaid as in they just do it?
Like your mom taking care of you.
Oh,
do they pay for
okay,
it?
then women. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so that's a fact, because according to the UN, women contribute significantly more unpaid labor than men, sustaining families and societies. In some cultures, the firstborn daughter is traditionally exempt from household chores. Fact or fiction?
Fiction.
Fiction. Why?
Because I feel like the firstborn daughter is going to get more of chores rather than less of chores. Because they have more responsibility.
Yes, because they take on the extra responsibility of helping to look after the younger siblings. Good one. In African tribes, women historically led work councils, and made major political decisions. Fact or fiction? Would I want to come in?
Feels like a trick question. I think it's fiction.
Yeah, I think it's fiction as well.
It's a fact. Some women really led wars. Like, Efusheta Anura also led wars. So there is from Ghana, Asantewa, were powerful military political leaders. Amina of Zauzau in Nigeria also were part of these war councils. Studies show that families who pray and hate together are 70% more likely to stay emotionally connected. Fact or fiction?
Facts.
Fact.
Definitely.
Yes, because the more you share things together, devotionals, praying, you eat together, all those barriers tends to break within the families, and you can be much more relaxed. Okay, so next is the term multitasking was originally used to describe working mothers. Fact or fiction?
Facts.
Fact. You can come closer to the...
Fact.
I don't know.
I would say fact.
Multitasking was originally used to describe working mothers. Is it a fact or fiction?
It sounds like a fact. I mean, I don't know if that's what was originally used. I don't know where it originated from, but the truth is working mothers definitely multitask. So,
actually it's a fiction because the term came from computing in the 1960s. But if anyone deserves the title, it's for the working mothers because they multitask. I'd seen men who try to multitask. I've tried it before. I tell you, it is not an easy task to multitask. It is not an easy one. Doing two things, taking care of a child, cooking, sweeping, cleaning the house, laundry, almost at the same time. It takes someone with, I don't know what to call the kind of brain. So the next is research shows that families, I think we've said that. This is the last one. This deals with Scotland. A woman in Scotland once built an entire village to house single mothers and their children. Fact or fiction?
That is very, very possible.
Fact.
And oddly specific.
Yeah.
So
A woman in Scotland once built an entire village to house single mothers and their children.
I'll say it's a fact.
The fact? Is that a final answer? Fact? And
It has either happened or not happened. Like you said, it's oddly specific. So it's either, something that has happened or not so.
it's a fiction. But that would be an amazing thing to do for a woman to build an entire village, which, if we looked it down into it, it depends on what we conceptualize as building. If it's to build human beings, build persons, a woman will be able to do that. But there are several initiatives in the world and the UK supporting women, mothers, even single mothers all around. Thank you so much for the fact of fiction thing, just to relax the body and our mind and getting into what we have today. And this question goes to Dayo. In case you've not seen this is a book, and we're still going to talk more about this and where you can get this book. It's Service, the Vehicle to Greatness, a Rebuilding. Okay, so I think you can show it from here. I think it's a better one. So you can see the book and the service, the Vehicle to Greatness, Rebuilding the Family System. And we're going to talk more about this in the course of our discussion today. There was a quote in this book about grooming kings. If service is grooming, is the grooming place for kings, what is the grooming place for queens?
Okay, so thank you for that question, and thank you for having me. Kings in this context refers to both male and female, because we know that even when you read the Bible and where he says we're kings and priests, it's not just speaking to men, it's also speaking to women. So by kings, I mean men and women.
So irrespective of whether you're a king or you're a king or you are a queen, service is the grooming place for you.
Correct.
Do you see yourself as a king and queen? So you need to get on into service. David, you want to ask the question?
What do you mean by service? Do you mean like church, or service as in what you do to the community, or?
Yes, service is all encompassing. So, but what it really meant is to do something for the benefits of others. It could be individuals, it could be a community, it could be a nation, but you are giving of yourself, you're giving of, something that you have to offer to someone else. I could easily say in the simplest way that both of you are here to serve. There are other things you could have done with your time today, but you have offered your time, you have offered, your skill, you have offered yourself to be here, so you're serving. Right.
Thank you so much. Thanks for that question. If we look at women as family pillars, how can women accept this role? I mean, they are the heart of the home. I used to say something. I said, a man owns the house, but the woman owns the home.
Right.
So how can women accept this role of being the heart of the home without feeling pressured, by societal expectations?
I think that's such a really good question. And my answer to that will be that a woman has to understand why they were created. They have to understand that overall function. Why has God sent a woman to the world? A woman is a man with a womb. A woman is a portal, right? A woman is the channel through which God introduces life to the earth, right? That's the role of a woman. And that function, when you understand that function, it's easier for you to fulfill the requirements of that function, bringing that to the family. Like you said, a woman is the one that holds and knits the family together, right? So an understanding that what a woman sort of allows, is what will determine what would be nurtured, what would grow, what will be sustained in the family. So a woman has to see, I said a portal is like a channel that allows something to pass through, that allows a passage. So a woman can come on a scene and decide that this will stop. A woman can come on a scene and decide that this will start. A woman can introduce whatever God is trying to introduce. A woman can introduce what the enemy is trying to introduce. So a woman is a gate. And understanding that role is what encourages us as women to take our stand, regardless of the pressures. It may not always come easy. It may come with a lot of sacrifice, but understanding the big picture helps us stay focused and helps us, continue in the direction of what we were created to achieve.
I love that but a woman is a gate, can be an avenue to introduce good, can also be an avenue where even something that is not good also come in and into being. Daniel, you want to weigh into this conversation?
Another question I have is like, how can women use service to improve family relationship and practically raise the next generation?
Yeah, okay, that's such a profound question, Daniel. See, like I said, a woman, brings forth life. A woman is a channel, do you see? And you have such an impact because you have children, whether biological or not biological, people who look up to you and you can influence, you can pour yourself into them, right? So the quality of who you are is going to determine the quality of the people that you raise. Modeling is such a profound way that a woman can replicate herself in, her children, biological and non-biological, in her community, in whatever leadership role that she finds herself. So if a woman is service-oriented, if a woman is looking out for the good of others, looking to bring out the best in others, looking to serve the interest of others without selfish, motivations, then a woman is able to influence that generation. A woman is able to affect that generation. And just to narrow it down practically, a child, the life of a child when they become an adult, the life of how the trajectory or how a child will turn out is very, very connected to the mother that raises a child, right? I mean, there's clearly the role of the father, the role of the mother, but we are focused, on a woman in this context. So how a child will turn out is a lot dependent on who the woman is. Because, you see, when children are born, they don't have any perspectives. It's the perspectives that they are exposed to from within the home. That's the perspectives that they carry on into the world. That's what shapes their mindsets, their belief systems, their actions. Do you see how powerful? Do you understand? Before a child trusts anyone on the outside, they trust their mother. They trust the one who has raised them. So whatever becomes normal for their mother, whether it's good or evil, becomes what the child first of all imbibes, right? It will then take a lot for that child not to live out, what the mother has modeled to the child. When it's good, it's easier to, live out. When it's evil, it's the same thing, except, there are interventions along the way. Right.
Now that also reminds me of that part that I don't know whether it is common, but I know that in the part where we are from, when a child is good, is the daddy's that, but when a child is bad, is the mother. So both the good and the bad belongs to, is still under the care of the mother. But it is the good one alone that belongs to the father. So it just gives me a picture of a mother or women having not just one wing to cover the good, but embraces all of them because they need that love to be even to change from being bad to good. So women are actually pivotal in every society. I looked at a quote in your book that talks about every family is a brick in the building society. And there's a question concerning women, how can they maintain healthy balance? Because they are bricks. And these bricks needs to be balanced. How can they maintain healthy balance between giving to others and their personal care, between excelling in their career and serving their families?
Yeah, I think that's such a very interesting question, because this it touches on the real things that women come across on a daily basis. A woman often has to balance. A woman has to pour out. Like, you bring a child to the world, the child has no business as to whether you have time, whether you've slept, whether you have, the child just has demands. Right. So a woman is, in a position whereby there's constant demand. And of course, in this society where women now also do professional work, right? So there's then demand professionally, there's demand, in the home front. And, it has then obviously caused a lot of women to sort of tilt the balance. Maybe some have pursued career excessively, some have pursued family excessively at the expense of career, right? But the balance is what is key. And what I would say to women is service is core, right? And it's important that, we pour out. In fact, I think it becomes, no matter whether you choose to pour out as a woman or you don't choose to pour out, by the time you even bring a child to the world,
you have poured
right,
out.
you have to. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, who you were before your child came. The moment you open your eyes after pushing that baby out, it changes. Like, I don't even care who you are. It changes because a life is then dependent on you. And so you really have to pour out. But what then can you do, to sustain yourself, to ensure that you're pouring out and you still have something to pour out, right? Is that you have to refill. And that's where a lot of women, make mistakes. They just want to pour out and they're not putting structures and systems in place to refill themselves. What does refilling mean? Learning, having relationships that support you, right? Having, a place where you can also pour into yourself, investing in yourself. And it's not the kind of self-care people talk where, they're like, oh, please, let me just be by myself. I just want to focus on self. It's not selfishness. It's actually refilling yourself so you can continue to give. Because if you start out full and you're pouring and you don't refill yourself, you're going to be empty. And even the children that you're trying to give to, at some point, you will not be relevant to them, right? So it's important that, you're pouring into yourself emotionally, intellectually, relationally, socially, take social breaks, take vacations, right? So that, and you're doing it, rest, physical rest, sleep. You're doing it because you know that I have a mandate. I have people to serve. People are depending on me. So when I go to sleep at night, I'm sleeping knowing that I have to rest. I have to recuperate from this day, right? So that the next day I can wake up to do it and give my best again.
How do you, I don't know whether you guys have a question right now to go ahead. So how do you look at the issue of burnout, rest? Where we're from, is there, because they used to say it is the day of death that is the day of rest.
I mean,
so what is it about rest? And I know we're talking about women, but it's also pivot into everybody. What is it about rest? It seems that some people take rest in some other continents to be of priority than even from the continent of Africa. So what is it about rest, burnout, that also affects women? You're talking about refilling. We don't even take time to refill. So
God rested, so I don't know why we won't rest. God modeled rest to us, right? But I would say that, the concept of rest even comes in place when you have already given your all, right? If you haven't done anything, we're not even talking about rest. You're resting from what, right? But if you live a life where you're giving your all, then it's important to rest. Resting is stepping back. Resting is re-strategizing. Resting is restructuring. There are systems that you can put in your life that can help you rest. Practically, as a woman, right, as a mom, as somebody who has professional work that I also do, what are the things I can practically put in my life to ensure that I'm not burnt out all the time. There are times that maybe I might get to the point of exhaustion, right? But what I need to do at that point is to know my limits and then know when to step back. But there are systems I can put in place, right, to say that, okay, my life should not be lived as an overwhelm every time. I should not always be burnt out, fatigued, stressed, because that state is dangerous.
Yeah.
I can't give my best in that state. So what can I do? I can step back and strategize that, okay, for my family, I would, cook in bulk, store in a freezer, so that, that's taken out of day-to-day routine. I can decide that I can put a system in place to also start to equip my children to pick up chores, to pick up tasks that sort of also give me room to rest, right? I can ensure that I am more, I write out my to-dos when I'm at work so that I can follow through efficiently, and get things done. Do you see? So I can put systems in place that can ensure that I live a rested life, because I believe that when God created us, he put us in the garden. He created an environment of rest. And I know that there was the fall of man, right? But what Jesus came was to come and restore us to the original state of rest. So even though at times we might get tired and all, we should take that as, a prompt to step back and see how we can do the things we're doing better, how we can be more efficient about what we're doing. There are some things that we're doing that we can pay for. There are some things we're trying to do ourselves, right? Look at the days where we're washing all our clothes ourselves with our hands.
Yeah.
Like, you will bring all... Now there's a washing machine.
I mean, we talked about it last week that it was a woman that actually invented washing machine.
No, because it's who it pains, right?
Yeah.
That would think about it. Even if you're not inventing a washing machine, you can invent a structure, right? Especially with the wisdom of God and with the help of the Holy Spirit. You can invent a structure. You can step back. So don't accept your burnout, your fatigue, your exhaustion as that's what it's supposed to be. I think that's really the problem that has, created a lot of issues for women generation, after generation, is that we first of all are not thinking there has to be a better way. When you're thinking there has to be a better way, then you're able to step back and you're able to think, strategically about how we can then start to put things in place, right, to solve these problems that cause exhaustion and burnout.
As we're talking and as you're conversing, a word just struck is rest is about structure. I mean, rest is a strategy on its own. It's not just that rest. Rest is a strategy that even the creator also used. He rested. And on a funny note, if the recycling bottle could rest, what of we human beings? We need to rest. And on that note, we'll be going for a short break and we'll be right back.
If God called you at 5 a.m., would you get on your knees or get up and leave? If He answered your prayers, would you share His light or choose to hide? Would you stand and rise? It's a part of life. Things will get better. 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 'Cause God never fail you. God will never think you're overwhelmed. Give yourself space, time will tell. Things will get easier, things will get better. I think you're stronger. Oh, things will get better. Oh, things will get better. God will never fail ya. Oh, things will get better. Oh, things will get better. Things will get better.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying tuned. Still have my guests in the house, and my friends are still here. Daniel is here. You want to do your toast? Yeah. And then I have David, yeah, and also I have Oladayo Bode-Balogun in the house here in the studio in the city of Glasgow. And we have some questions. I think David wants to ask a question, so David and Daniel.
Okay, so many African and diaspora communities have a strong history of women as leaders in service, whether as mothers, entrepreneurs, or community builders. How can today's women draw inspiration from these legacies?
Okay, thank you, David, for that question. So, learning from the people who have gone ahead of us as wisdom, and that we don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? We can look at these women, look at the phenomenal things that they have done, and we can start to learn from them. And why this is really important is because the quality of individuals that we become, right, determine the quality of impact that we have in the community. When we talk about a nation, at the end of the day, we're talking about the individuals. When we talk about any group of people, a community, right, even when we say Glasgow, as much as it's a location, what really makes Glasgow is the people, right, that are in Glasgow. So at the end of the day, when we understand that end goal, the fact that the nation, the community, the society is made up of individuals, right, and the quality of the individuals then determine the overall quality of what we experience as a nation, as a community. And of course, you know, like you have said, asked Daniel, or David rather, you cannot take away the fact that those people who have gone ahead, you know, have modeled to us a lot of, you know, inspiration, a lot of things that we can draw on. And it's important for us to study their lives. It's important for us to, you know, read their books. It's important for us to engage, you know, in several ways that we can with them, so that we can draw, you know, knowledge, draw wisdom from how they have done the things that they have done, and we can begin to apply it even to our own lives.
Thank you so much. Daniel?
Another question that I wanted to ask is, how does a woman's cultural background affect how women approach service and leadership within their families?
Thank you very much for that question, Daniel. I think that question is one big question, because how the mindset and the perspective that a woman has determines how she would serve, right? if a woman has a perspective that service is synonymous to slavery, right? There's a way she's going to serve in a disgruntled way, as opposed to, in a delightful way, because she feels that I am compelled to do this thing. I don't even know why I'm doing it. Do you understand? She can't give her best when she's in that situation. But when a woman is serving with a culture of the bigger picture, when she's serving willingly, she's able to, serve delightsomely, right? And children pick these things up, right? If a woman who is disgruntled, there's a way she's going to act around the home. It's going to look like, oh, you children are a burden to me. She might not always use those words, but she's going to be so, she's going to complain about everything. She's going to grumble about everything, right? She doesn't see it like she's serving God or she's in partnership with God, on the matter of service. Because at the end of the day, service is actually partnering with God. Do you understand? And so when we focus on the fact that there's a bigger picture, right? There's a reason that we're doing what we're doing. It's easier to be more patient, to be kind, right? It's easier to do it knowing that, the rewards might not quickly trickle in, but they would eventually come. And that has to be a reason why we serve.
Thank you so much for giving those reasons why we serve. And just to going in that line, going through your book, there is a chapter called A Lifestyle of Service. And that was where you defined conceptualized service. But I want to look at it in terms of the modern challenges that we are having: migration, technology, shifting family dynamics are all happening right now. So how can women ensure that service remains at the core of or in their homes?
Yeah, that's such a vital question, because truly the essence of service can be lost in all of those changing dynamics, like you have said. And it's important for us to stay focused, right? And the home, it's important for us to ensure that we are equipping ourselves and, our children to continue to see and embrace service as something that is worthwhile. Because of how busy a woman can get, in just all of the changing dynamics, you could feel like, okay, you know what, let me do everything by myself so that maybe I can get it done faster, so that I don't get frustrated in the process by trying to tell, this child to do this or that child to do that. But we will be doing ourselves a disservice if we do that. So in spite of, the changing dynamic, we must leverage it, to our advantage. I would take an example of, immigration. If you move from Africa to the Western world, one of the things you are easily going to do away with is house help, as we know it in Africa, right? Maybe cleaning services. All those things are available, but a lot more expensive. And so
different structure.
Exactly. And so in adapting to it, right, you can use the family, you can equip the family, to come up to do these tasks that would have been maybe contracted to a house help, right? You have to start thinking differently. How can I equip even my 2-year-old, my 3-year-old, my 4-year-old, my teenager to pick up some of these things, in the house, so that they're also geared towards service, right? These are things that perhaps living in Africa, I could have a house help who just in the house, constantly cleaning, constantly cooking, constantly taking all the stress off me. And so I might feel, less inclined to ask my children to do certain things. But here in the diaspora, you have to get children, to step into those roles, right? So it won't be of course it could start with you because maybe they're young and you're starting out, but you have to bring them on board, and it takes a lot of patience, to train children. You have to be patient with them. They will make mistakes at first. It won't be perfect at first, so you can't aim for perfection. You have to aim for progress over perfection. And so in equipping those children, you have to ensure that you're encouraging them, you're supporting them, right? Actually, when you think about the benefits of service, to everyone, right? So it's important that we leverage this changing dynamics to our favor, so that a child that then comes through our home is even better equipped, to do a lot more things because of the dynamics that we find ourselves in.
I want my friends in the house to jump in on this. Have you ever, looking at service and from what Daya said thus far, have you ever seen service as a pathway to becoming truly great? Daniel or David?
Service as in giving back to the community. Service in her terms.
Yeah.
Definitely, yes.
So in what ways have you seen people use it? Probably women around you.
I think there's hidden values and skills in many things. So for example, my mom, she owns a business, and you could just look at it as, it's a business that's just rendering service, but it also instills, or it shows a lot. It shows to us that we can create something with our hands. We can create something out of nothing. It shows to us to use our ideas. Our ideas actually matter. So just that small act of service can mean or instill different values to us. So that will progressively make society better if that was an everyday thing.
Okay. Daniel, anyone outside of home, or probably any other experience you want to share about women?
Not really, because he basically said most of it.
He said most of it. You stole his answer. Okay, so let's look at, as we come to an end of all of this conversation. It's us to look at the change agent function of women in making families stronger and making communities also stronger. So how do you think, the strong community is built on strong family system, and so what part do you think women play when they use service to make their communities and families better?
Profound. Thank you for that question. Women are custodians of great destinies in the form of our children, right? When we think about the fact that we are raising children, at the end of the day, the end goal of raising a child is to fulfill their own destiny. Do you see? It's not to remain our child. In fact, nobody remains a child forever. A child is something that you are for a period of time. Do you see? And what parents do in that time is to shaping that child to become an adult. Whatever adult is produced out of the child is the fruit of what the woman is doing when she's serving, right? So as we raise children, we're raising children who will be relevant in the workplace, who will be relevant in the nation, positively relevant, right? Who would add value to the communities that they are, who would create big things. Do you see? So when we think about it in that sense, I'm not raising my child just to be my child. The greatest destiny of my child cannot just be to be a lovely son or daughter to me, right? The perfect an overall picture of a child cannot be just to function within the home. Rather, it has to be outside the home, and the community, and the nation, and the system, right? And that's why when we become adults forever. Do you see? So the period of 0 to 18 is a very huge privilege that God has given us to partner with Him as mothers and as women to raise a child who will become an adult. What that adult becomes will determine what we have in society. Everything that we're experiencing. If you have a good boss, if you have a good president, if you have a good leader, if you have, in every area, right? Everything started from how that child was shaped and formed and molded. And women have this rare privilege in partnership with God to mold, to form, to shape a destiny, to become an adult that would fulfill their own destiny. And their own destiny is what God has put in them, right? As we're all seated, the four of us here in the studio, God created everyone for a unique purpose, right? And even though we're all here, there are different things we're interacting with here, right? There are different things that, is becoming sharpened in all of us. What is becoming sharpened the most in each of us is determined by what, our destiny really needs and demands at the end of the day.
So if from all our conversation, what is that thin line, and what's the connection between service and impact? You raised that in your book. What's the connection between service and impact?
Okay, so if I define impact is making a difference in the world, right? Impact is changing lives, transforming people, touching hearts, making systems work, leaving legacies, right? But you cannot make an impact if you're not, first of all, service oriented. Because impact is solving problems, creating solutions. There's no way you're going to respond to anything if you're not service driven. Everyone who has solved a problem, right, done anything big in this world, was responding in empathy to try to think outside of themselves. We spoke about today how it was a woman who invented a washing machine. Why? She was thinking, life should perhaps not be this hard. How can we make life better for other people? Right? And that's why she thought of building a washing machine. If she did not have a heart of service, there's no way she's going to think that far. Service exposes us to different things that sharpen our skills, brighten our ideas, solidify our strategies. And we're able to, out of the treasures that God has put inside of us, to create something that would impact lives, to create something that would impact generations, to create something, that would speak beyond us, right? And that's the connection between service and impact.
So that doesn't look like we have just focused on women on an homogeneous level. What will you have to say to single women in terms of service? Or single mothers, even singles. So you can take them one after the other.
Okay, so I'll start with single mothers. And I know that the first thing that comes to mind is the difficulty of doing something that two people should do, right? Because you then have to raise a family by yourself, whereas you should have the partnership of a man. But I would also still say to encourage you that if you understand the fact that, what you're doing is in partnership with God, and God is not weak in any way, right? There's no vacuum with God. If something is missing in your natural environment, God would fill it by himself. It might not be by providing another man, but it could be a support system, it could be resources, but you first have to depend on God. You have to look to God. It says, when you are weak, then I am strong, right? So what it means is that while a woman who has a husband needs God in maybe 20% in a certain dimension. A single mother perhaps needs an 80% of God, right? And so it's the extent of need that you have of God that will determine the extent of fullness that He will fill you. So when you look at your situation, don't just pity yourself. Think about the fact that I'm doing this thing in partnership with God. And if you're in business with somebody who has all the resources, who has all the money, who has all the wisdom, can you fail? No. That's it. Moving on to, single women, single ladies, you're not married. At the end of the day, marriage is a choice that God has given to us to choose. But when you start to even think of your life as a one of significance, there's a way that you live your life, to serve. People doing great things around the world today. It's not about marriage. It's not about, motherhood. And guess what? You are even better equipped to become a better mother, a better wife, if you are already serving. If you are already thinking about the interest of another. So it doesn't even feel like someone forced you into it, because you already understand, purpose, you understand impact, you already understand giving back. You know that big picture consciousness is how you live your life. It's easier, to then serve your children, because your children are parts. They're only a part of, the assignments that God has given to you. All right. So if you're already serving your assignment, so I would say to single women, find something to do. In service, you find yourself. In service, you find your strengths. In service, you understand your skills. In service, you know what God has written about you. Do you understand? You might start out by trying different things, but you start to get to the point where your heart connects with something and this is it, right? You build empathy in service. Do you see? You build patience in service. You become more humble when you serve. You build leadership, because then things are committed to you. Even God commits things to us when we serve, right? The parable of the servant, right? When we handle what the small that God has given to us, it determines how much, He would give to us. Many people want to be big men. They don't want to start small. They don't want to be faithful in little things. God is looking at you, single woman, single man, married woman, married man. The small thing that He has placed in your hands, are you found there? The choir that you committed to God that you will serve there, does He find you there? Are you faithful there? Or is it only when they say, oh, you're going to be the lead singer today? That's only when you feel relevant, Are you there serving? Are you there faithful? Is God looking at you and thinking, oh, you're qualified for me to add more to you, right? So service is, just a platform. I think that everyone who is not serving is actually cheating themselves, because service, you're the first beneficiary. You're the first, and it might not come, maybe because the rewards of service don't look like they trickle in quickly. A lot of people give up, right? The skills that you get in service, the joy that you get by making the life of other people better, the humility that you build, the character that is formed, those things can never be taken away from you.
Thank you so much. I mean, I call that the part one of the parting shot. Because, she talked about service as being key to quite a number of things in our lives, and if you're not serving, you are basically cheating yourself, because in service you build yourself, in service you improve yourself, in service you grow, in service you nurture yourself, in service you build your muscles in whatever way you want to build in life, and you become someone better. And I want to tap into my friends. So, in all that we have said today, who goes first? Daniel or David? Okay.
I'll go first.
Okay, so what will be your take-home point in a discussion about service before Dayo talks about it? We also wanted to just say something about a book before we wrap up. Yeah.
My take home would be the fact that service is useful in every area, and service actually betters us as people. Service is not a chore. It is something that helps you grow, and understanding that God is using you for a bigger picture, and giving back to that community, giving back to people, and giving back to that community will help the community to grow as one. And you shouldn't feel the need that you're taking on too much responsibility. Rather, you should take more, and in service you will grow.
In service you grow. Don't see service as a chore. Don't see it as a burden. It's a pathway to life. Daniel.
What I've picked up is that service is something we need. Like, we should not think of service as it's just us doing something for no reason, that we don't get anything out of it. Because service gives you a lot more than you think. So having service is, like David says, it's not a chore. Service is not a chore. Service is something that impacts in your life, that gives you more.
So service is not a chore. Service leads to impact. So it's like, the way I'm going to say it is this: service is the road, impact is the bus stop where you get to, and people can see you're getting down. But the service is just that pathway that you take towards impact. And as we celebrate the International Women's Month, I'll ask Diakola Lididi, what message do you have for women, career mothers, stay-at-home mom, any category of mothers or single mom, about themselves? And then link it up. Let's know where we can get this book, Service, the Vehicle to Greatness, in the next 1 or 2 minutes or so. Can you do that?
Yes. Thank you very much for that. The theme for this year's International Women's Day is Accelerate Action. So I'm saying to every mother, every sister, every woman, to accelerate action on, growing yourself, building yourself, right? Making yourself a valuable person. Service can come at different levels, but I find that the more mastery that we gain, the more, value that we build into ourselves, we're able to offer service, in greater value. What do I mean? The woman who can clean the whole house, who can sweep, scrub, cook and do all those things is offering value, right? But she may not, be rewarded as much as a woman who can invent, say maybe the washing machine, the gas cooker. So the quality of problems that we solve, right, determine the quality of value that we get. And so it's important for us to invest in ourselves, invest in your growth, invest in your personal development, invest in studying, invest in evolving. Think of yourself as somebody who was, created with a treasure buried deep down within you. And the more that you invest in yourself, the more that you take actions for your growth and your development, you are able to, open up the treasure within yourself, and you're able to give more of yourself to the world, more value, more treasure, right? More things that would benefit the world. You have that treasure within you, and it's up to you, to accelerate action. Whatever accelerate action means to you, take that step, right? Start that business. Take that course, right? Lean into the Holy Spirit to find out what He's saying to you to do, and start to do it. On that note,
about the book,
I would now talk about my book. It's Service, the Vehicle to Greatness, and Rebuilding the Family System. Everything that we have spoken about today is just a fraction of what is in this book. And so you need to get this book, and it's available on Amazon. You can get a Kindle copy and you can get a hard copy. It's also available on Silla, right? So go ahead and get a copy of this book, and it will transform your life. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just add my voice to this. I'm almost through with the book, and quite a number of questions that we have are actually part of the conversation from the book, and it's also action driven. You can see examples, statistics within this book. So you want to get your copy, get it, as we say, now. And go on Amazon, go on Stella. If you need a hard copy, please, you can get across the us on TouchPoint with Tayo at gmail.com, or get across to Jambo Radio on their email, and we'll definitely get across to you. So this is the book, Service the Vehicle to Greatness. A huge thank you to Oladayo Bode-Balogun for coming to the show today, for sharing such a valuable wisdom with us, and I'm sure our audience, you've learned a lot about it. And be sure to just type a name on any of the social media platform, and be sure to follow her, because you don't want to miss the wisdom that she's dishing out on those social media platforms. And check our book, Our Service, The Vehicle to Greatness, for deeper insights on rebuilding the family system. And thank you to David and Daniel, and we'll still do this next week again, guys. We're coming back next week, and join us for joining TouchPoint with Tayo today. And thank you to the production crew. Thank you, Samson, for the work you're doing on the back. Thank you, guy. Thumbs up for you. And to the TouchPoint with Tayo backroom team, researchers, and the social media team, thank you so much for your work and for the things that you do day in and day out. To my listeners and audience, thank you for joining us today and every week. It's been a very wonderful audience that we are having, and just putting your comment, putting your contribution on the YouTube, on Facebook. We'll keep engaging with you. And that concludes the discussion for this week, ladies and gentlemen. But remember, life's journey unfolds uniquely. Run your race to attract grace, because it is within the race that grace its expression finds its expression. Yeah, I've been your host, Tayo Oweye, and until next week, join me for another exciting episode of TouchPoint with Tayo, where we are still talking about International Women's Month. Thank you and good night. Bye.
Still looking for a friend. Have to grow up and face what's inside. I just hope that you never stop trying.